If you're wanting to reset or just get to know yourself better or work through patterns or old wounds, things that you might not even know you have, this course is for you. My experience was so powerful and life-changing. And the wild thing about it is that it is completely free and it's offered all over the world. I'm going to leave a link in the description below where you can sign up. In this video, I'm actually not going to share about the Vipassana meditation technique. I went to my course knowing absolutely nothing, and I'm really happy I did. On the other hand, I'm going to share some things I wish I knew before I went. I'm also going to share why I think this technique is so powerful. And also, I'm going to share a couple of tips to help you make the most of your course. So if you're either nervous because you're about to start this course or you're just curious, let's dive in. To start off, I want to tell you why I decided to take the course in the first place. I was actually in a huge depression. It was so long that I was trying a lot of things. And that year, the year I actually went to Vipassana, I had actually tried 2 psychedelic therapies, which I think helped also. I did an MDMA therapy and then also a psychedelic magic mushroom therapy. And what was crazy though, is that at the end of my 10-day Vipassana retreat, I actually realized that that thing was so powerful and life-changing just as much as the psychedelic therapies. And I found it so interesting and kind of reassuring because I was like, wow, I love the fact that it was something I could do completely on my own. I got to the same places as I did with the psychedelics, but I didn't need any substance. And all I needed was for me to be able to sit on my cushion and actually stick with the course. So now I want to share some things that I wish I had known before I went. So the first thing is, it is not a sect. And this is actually something somebody told me before I went, and I'm so happy they did, because otherwise I think I would have left. Because the first day you get there and it's kind of strange and you're with all these new people in a new place, and then they bring you into this room and you have to chant in like a language that you don't know, and you're kind of like having to repeat things. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Am I selling my soul or in some foreign language that I can't understand? But no, trust me, it's not that. It is not a religion. It is not a sect. It is just a very powerful technique. And yes, you have a couple of modalities and things that you kind of have to do because you're part of this like system and you follow their rules, but you are not getting like indoctrinated into something. So the other thing I wish somebody had explained to me was, why is it 10 days? Because actually when I had first wanted to do a kind of meditation course, I was looking to do something smaller, like 3 or 4 days. I wanted to work up to something like 10 days. And I didn't understand why at the Vipassana courses that they offer, it's 10 days for the new students. And actually old students can come back and do either 1 day or 3 days. And I was like, that seems so bizarre. But actually when you go through the process, you realize why you have 10 days. Because you really have like complete cycles throughout the day. You go up and down. And like in my case, for example, on day 3, I felt great. But then day 5, I felt horrible. And I just wanted it to stop. But then finally I had a breakthrough at day 8 and 9. And I'm so happy that the course was 10 days, because if it had been 5, then I would have been like right in the middle of this bad cycle. And I feel like the 10 days really helps you be able to go through your ups and downs, which is part of the process. And you are going to actually be able to kind of make your way through a cycle that takes 10 days. That's why it's also important to stay through the 10 days. I know sometimes it can be really challenging, but it's almost like we're doing surgery. So we open ourselves up during the process and we're kind of doing this deep healing. But then if you don't actually stay to the end and you walk away while you're in the middle of actually doing like this huge surgery, well, actually that can be actually not so good for you. You really need to do the whole 10 days so that you can do your surgery, do the inner work, and then also close it up and heal it. And all that takes 10 days. Because that's the other thing I wish somebody had told me, is that actually really hard things are going to come up, but that actually means that the technique is working. I didn't know that. So it was really weird. All of a sudden, like as I said, the first 3 days, I was like, oh, this is really nice. And then all of a sudden, day 4, 5, and 6, I just had so much anger and sorrow. Something from my past came up, and I was so angry and frustrated. And I just really didn't understand why this was all coming back, because it was kind of an old story. And I was like, what is going on? But then thankfully I was able to go talk to a teacher, and she explained that it's actually because I'm doing the work that this stuff is coming up. And that's why it's such a powerful technique, is that when you start doing it and practicing it, Your body is actually going to start releasing some of your old wounds, some things that you think you've healed, some things that you might not even know you needed to heal, and they will arise. And so if you get upset, angry, whether it's, sorrow, grief, sadness, anger, frustration, all those things are actually good things, because it's kind of like a pimple. It's coming out and you're going to pop it. But first of all, you're going to feel those emotions, and it's not going to necessarily be very fun. So the other thing I wish somebody had told me is ask for help. As I just mentioned, when I went to go talk to the teacher, that really reassured me. But it could be about anything. It could be about the fact that your roommate snores or that your back hurts. Go and ask the people who are there to help. They want you to succeed. They do not want you to suffer through this practice. Yes, it's going to be hard, but it doesn't need to be hard on all levels. So if there's something that's upsetting you, go talk to somebody about it and see if there's a solution. The first year I went, I didn't really ask for much. I was kind of like shy to ask. I thought that I was going to be bothering somebody. I did ask for a back rest because my back was really hurting, and they gave it to me, no problem. But then later I actually went back to volunteer, and I was the helper. And I saw that we had earplugs to give to people. We had extra covers. We had the back rest for when your back hurts. And we had other things like shampoo if you lose your shampoo. I mean, for sure, you're not supposed to abuse of this stuff, but really the main thing is do not hesitate to go out and ask, especially if you're in pain. If you're in pain and your back hurts, a back rest can really be helpful. But honestly, people there want you to get to the end of the 10 days. So they want to be able to help you in any way they can. So don't hesitate to ask. The other thing I wish somebody had told me is that you don't have to believe in everything for it to work. In the sense that, so you're going to learn the technique, and then in the evening, Goenka, the person who gives the course, is going to have these talks, which are called Dharma talks. And throughout those talks, sometimes he's going to say things like, talk about past lives, or talk about things that, sometimes you might believe or sometimes you won't believe. And that is okay. The technique is going to work whether you believe in these things or not. That's not the problem. For me, in my case, for example, some of the teachings really landed and some didn't. But it doesn't matter. My thing is that you just have to kind of go with it while it's there. Take what you want, take what resonates, and then all the rest, just leave it. And that's fine. So now, without spoiling the meditation technique, I want to share some of my biggest takeaways. So the first one is that where your attention goes is what's going to grow. And I had read about this in Deepak Chopra's The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. He talks about the fact that, for example, where you put your attention is what's going to grow. So if you put your attention on, let's say, learning to play the piano, then you're going to get better at that. If you put your attention, though, on like all your hard things and all the things that are going wrong in your life, well, that's what's going to grow. And I remember when I was reading about that, thinking like, I understood it. I understood it theoretically, but I just didn't feel like it really like sunk in. And what was crazy here is that when I was meditating, I actually got to experience it firsthand. So I remember one time I was meditating and my back hurt. And I remember, so I was like concentrating on my back and it was painful. And then all of a sudden I was moving, because the technique asks you to move through the body. And I was then concentrating on my knee. And all of a sudden I realized that I didn't have any more pain in my back. Actually, my pain was still there, because as soon as I had that thought, I went back to my back and my back was in pain. But as soon as I was focusing on my knee, for example, I was kind of forgetting about my back, and the pain actually I wasn't aware of the pain anymore. And it was such a huge revelation for me, because it really reminded me of the power that we have, that yes, we can really focus on things that we want, or we can focus on things that we don't want. But when we do focus on the things that we don't want, that's what we're going to have. If I focus on the back pain all the time, I'm just going to be feeling my pain all the time. But if I can shift my focus to something else, then I can almost transcend the pain in my back. And I think that applies to everything. So if I can shift my focus from the things that are going wrong in my life and start focusing on the things that are going right in my life, those are the things that are going to grow. And the things that I don't want to grow, they'll either be in the background, or also they'll just stop being bothersome. The other thing that I found was so crazy during this 10-day silent meditation retreat is that it was not silent at all. Sure, I was talking sometimes to the teachers or the helpers, but that was really, really very little in the day. But the rest of the day, I couldn't get over how much chatter there was in my head. And I think that's a huge thing that we realize, is that when we talk and we're talking with other people all the time, we don't realize how much noise is actually going on in our heads. Whereas actually, when you take the time to be silent, you realize how much noise is in our head, how much talking is going on, how much of this conversation or monkey mind is there. And that's part of the learning, because you start to realize just how much noise, internal noise you have. And the last amazing takeaway that I got was that we really are only vibrations. Like, I had known and read about the fact that we're just atoms, and that in the end, you know, like being hard, like things that are hard, it's kind of not an illusion, because it really is the case, but it's more like we're vibrating all the time. And but it's such a hard concept to actually experience, because we feel our bodies, and we feel when we touch something hard that it feels hard to us. So it's really hard to remember that we are just vibrations, and that as a result, if we are only vibrations, then we're connected to everything, everyone, plants, people, things. So I was meditating one afternoon, and the bell rang, because the bells are there to kind of help you keep a schedule. And when it rang, it kind of rippled through my body, and it was just this really crazy, profound experience for me, because I realized I was connected to the bell. And that I was connected, like, even though the bell was quite far away, like its vibrations traveled through the air and then got into resonance with my vibrations. And it was like really cool how, you know, what I found about this course is that it's like these kind of theoretical practices actually become personal experiences. And to me, that's really important for me to be able to actually like own these processes and concepts for my own person. So now I want to give you a couple of tips to help you make the most of this time. 1, go in with an open mind. As I said, some of the things that are going to be said might not resonate, and that is okay. You are there to try this technique out. And while you're there, kind of take whatever you think you know and put it aside, because that is going to be really helpful. And also it's going to make you really use and learn the technique that they teach you to its fullest potential. It's only 10 days. So for those 10 days, put everything, all your beliefs and all your practices to the side and go all in with this one, because that will really make the most of your course. And that brings me to my second one. 2, make the most of this course. When is it that you get to have 10 days all to yourself, where you have to put your phone away and nobody's going to talk to you? It's kind of hard to do. I've actually wanted to go back and do it again, and it's hard for me to find 10 full days. But that's why when you go all in. And that means following the schedules. Yes, it's going to be hard. You're going to be getting up at 4 a.m. so that you can meditate at 4:30. It's a big commitment. But if you do decide to go, just do it. Go get up every morning, go to the meditation hall. Don't necessarily stay in your room. Ask for help. Do everything that you can to put all the things on your side. 3, expect hard days. This is not easy, but that is part of the process. As I mentioned, for me, for example, at one point, I really wanted to jump out of my skin. And it's funny, I felt like I couldn't stand myself. Whereas I actually usually feel like I love spending time alone with myself. But for some reason during the course, at one point, I just felt like I couldn't escape. I couldn't escape my mind. I couldn't escape my own person. It was a really hard sensation. But at the same time, getting through that really was life-changing for me. There will be moments that you want to quit, but that is part of the process. Just breathe and get through them. Know that it is normal for it to be hard, and know that you will be able to get through them. Remember and trust that you can get through this. I know that I doubted myself a couple times during the course, but honestly, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm not superhuman. All the people who get through the course are not superhuman. It's just that you have to trust that actually you're going to get better, that there will be a hump, that there will be some hard days, that there will be some moments where you think, why did I come to do this? It was a choice, but yes, that is actually all part of the process. And as always, for the last tip, I'm going to get my tarot cards to give it. Ooh, the Three of Pentacles. Wow, what a great card. So the Three of Pentacles is all about teamwork, collaboration, and the mastery of skill through dedication, effort, and learning. Can we get a better card for Vipassana? And I know that a lot of people think that pentacles have to do with finances or career, but actually they're much bigger than that. They have to do with anything that is worth it for us long term, things that aren't quick fixes, things that take time, but things that are meaningful. And what's more meaningful than our own relationship with ourselves? I don't know. So what's interesting though is that at the beginning I was like, teamwork, collaboration, how could that be? But actually I think it's about teamwork and collaboration within ourselves, having the different parts of ourselves kind of work together, but also setting and creating this really deep and good foundation for ourselves so that we can be this tall and sturdy mountain. But for that, we actually need to sometimes put in the work, put in that groundwork. And also to me, I think Vipassana is a way of like going in and kind of like creating that strong foundation. So what is the tip here? I think it's just to remember that when you're going to Vipassana, you are actually creating that very strong and sturdy foundation, that you're going to be going in deep, that you're going to be going to the root of things. And so to trust it, to trust that actually this is actually something that is going to have long-term effects, that it's going to be team building, that you're going to be building something for the future, something that is going to be very meaningful. And so I think that if you can remember that when you're going through your hard moments, just remember that as much as it's hard and confusing, and maybe some days you're just not wanting to continue, it's okay. You're building something strong, and maybe that can give you the courage to continue. But also, I think the tip could also be to remember to reach out, as I already mentioned, that yes, it is a solitary thing that you're going to be doing, but you're not there alone. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you're about to go on your first Vipassana course, I'm wishing you so much love and laughter. And please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Remember, you're going into a huge surgery of yourself. So be gentle before and be gentle afterwards, but also especially during. Remember, it's going to be okay. And also remember, you got this. And when you get to the end of the 10 days, it's going to be so powerful and life-changing. So get ready to meet yourself. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next video.